So you know you should be writing and you intend on writing, but you can't seem to get your butt in the chair and actually write. If you can identify with this statement, then this video is for you. Today I'm going to share with you one quick strategy to get motivated to write your novel. So why do we feel resistance when writing? Why do we suddenly become demotivated and stop writing? The simplest and easiest way to answer this is to simply point out that when you focus on the grandeur of a task or a goal, like writing your first book or even publishing your first book, just the sheer size of this goal can often lead you to sort of feel stuck. And quite often when you get stuck, your first natural response is to do nothing, is to simply sit there and sort of feel, it's almost like you're frozen. Like obviously you know that you're supposed to be writing, but you sort of feel stuck. The reason why you feel so stuck is because you're focusing on something so huge. So in these moments where you've sort of outlined your novel and you know the story and you've chosen your idea and you've gone through all that initial planning phase of writing a book and you're ready to sit down and start writing the first draft, what will happen is the first week or so will roll by and you'll be super excited, and then you'll hit your first roadblock and you'll get this sort of overwhelming feeling of, oh, I don't want to write today. It sort of becomes really difficult, and your first reaction in these moments is to simply not write. And this is probably where you are right now. Where you're going wrong with this is you're focusing on getting to the end of the first draft. What's leading to you getting stuck is somewhere along the line you've lost track of what's really important. You've lost track of just focusing on the simple act of writing, and you're focusing on something crazy like writing the perfect first draft. This is something that I know I did, and this sort of notion of perfection sort of led me to sort of doing a whole heap of crazy things. I sort of felt like, oh, I needed to go do story research and I needed to sort of focus on learning the craft of writing, and these things are important. Story research and learning the craft of writing they're really, really important, but they should never be done at the expense of writing the first draft. So what do you do when you're in these moments? Quite simply, you need to take your focus off that grand goal of writing your first draft or writing your first book, and simply focus on what matters. And what matters is developing that daily habit of writing. And when I decided what type of book I wanted to write, I eventually did like a scene. I did a scene outline, and I set like a word count for each scene, and I worked out I need to write this many words every day to get to where I needed to be to finish my novel in time. And that didn't happen. Just straight out, that it didn't work out like that. And what happened was I got so far behind and I started to get crippled by the overwhelming goal, and then I just stopped writing. And what I needed to do is those days when I didn't feel like writing is just sort of simply take away that massive goal and sort of say to myself, yeah, instead of writing 3,000 words today to catch up, I'll only write for 10 minutes, or I'll only write 50 words. The reason why I say to do this in these moments is writing 50 words or writing for 10 minutes is so much easier to achieve than sitting down and writing 3,000 words, especially when you just don't feel like writing. And this is something that happens to everyone. Every writer reaches a stage in the writing process where they don't feel like writing, but the more seasoned writers, they know to push through these moments and just write. I know this doesn't seem overly motivational, but if you take your eyes off that huge word count goal and simply say to yourself, I want to write for 10 minutes or write 50 words today, you'll actually be surprised as to how much work you get done. The reason for this is so hard to get started, as you've realized, which is why you're watching this video. It's almost like you're tricking yourself, really. You're saying to yourself, today I'll only write for 10 minutes, and when you actually get there, once the ideas start flowing, you tend to stay in that sort of writing moment for longer. So instead of writing for 10 minutes, you may end up writing for 60 minutes. So instead of writing 50 words, you might end up writing 1,000 words. And this is the key to feeling motivated to start writing and to keep writing is, it's essentially lowering your expectation, is to making it a little bit easier for yourself. Is, I know for me personally, essentially, like in my core, I'm a naturally lazy person, so I'm naturally going to take the easiest road, easiest option. And on those days when I don't feel like writing, this is what I do. I say to myself, you know what, 50 words, 10 minutes, and I use a timer. I put a timer on and I write for 10 minutes, and usually what happens is I just hit that timer. Once it goes off, I just hit stop and I keep writing, because ideas come in the moment and I go, oh yeah, and I just keep writing. This is the key. So stop focusing on writing, you know, 3,000 words a day if this is where you're at. If it's been days or weeks since you've contributed to your word count in a meaningful way, take your eyes off that daily word count goal and simply focus on the act of writing 10 minutes a day. And you'll be very surprised as to how much work you do once you sort of focus on the first step instead of that end goal. If this is something you're really struggling with, I want you to understand that it's perfectly normal, and I get it. There have been seasons in my life where I've really struggled to write hardly any words. Their quarters have gone past where I've only written, say, 5,000 words in an entire quarter of a year, and I get what it's like to really struggle. So in the comments section below, I want you to let me know what actionable step you are going to take today to help you feel more motivated to write your book. And if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel, hit subscribe to get notified about more videos just like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take one, the only take. Fingers crossed. It's sad that I like doing that, isn't it? Really sad. I'm actually an adult, but I like squeezing a little toy. Actually, that sounds very wrong.